Okay, so I've been keeping up with my current events class, and my word, things are a mess. Some of you adults out there need to go back to school, and when I say school, I don't mean college to brush up on a few things. I mean preschool, to brush up on, I don't know, how to get along. Honestly, this taking sides and digging in and refusing to hear each other is getting out of hand. I don't like it. No, I don't. Not one single bit, because I think you're ruining my country. You are literally breaking it. I see adults fighting with each other, making it look like it's impossible to get along. It's possible. Take my family, for example. In my family, we have California Democrats, Texas Republicans and Democrats, Arizona Republicans and Democrats, a high school educated single mom for Trump, a Republican college educated single mom who voted for Clinton, so I guess she falls in the never Trump category, a Latino for Trump, I have 3 black aunts, 7 biracial cousins, a gay godparent, I have 2 great-grandfathers who are farmers, a grandfather who served in Vietnam, a grandfather who's a paleontologist, a dad who works in the investment industry, and a mom who's an alien from Canada. We have a lot of different points of view, but we make it work because we care about each other. We understand that because we live different lives, we have different perspectives. Take me, for example. I believe we need tougher gun laws because on June 7th, 2013, my life changed forever when I was trapped in the middle of a campus shooting. 6 people died that day. Some of my friends still have nightmares. So you see, my own personal experience leads me to believe we need better gun laws. And let me be clear, I don't want to take away anyone's Second Amendment rights. I just want to protect us from crazy people who shouldn't have guns. Comedian Jim Jeffries does this great bit on how long it actually takes to load a musket. You've got to pull out the gun, you've got to put in the gunpowder, you've got to push it down. People have a decent chance of getting away, but not with today's guns. Truth is, guns are always changing, so laws surrounding them should change too. You know, a lot of conservatives don't like Jim. He's received death threats. I don't understand why people don't like him. He's a good guy. I worked with him on a show, legit. Oh look, here's a picture of us. The truth is, he's a lot like Melania Trump. No, really, he is. Look, they both came to the United States to follow their dreams, they both have funny accents, and they're both successful. They're really very similar, except I think Jim writes his own material, and I'm pretty sure it's original. Which brings me back to why I think a lot of adults need to go back to school for a refresher course on good behavior. Now, plagiarism is a middle school concept. It's tricky, so I'm going to start with something a little easier. I'm going to start with the playground rules. They seem so important when you're, 5, but virtually irrelevant when you're an adult. Okay, so rule number 1, no bullying. Do not make fun of anyone who is different from you, disabled, or who has any disadvantage of any kind. Why are there so many adults out there that don't seem to understand this rule? In preschool, if you bully someone, you have to sit out. And if you do it enough, your parents get called in, and if they don't do anything about it, you get expelled. You get removed from the game. I don't understand why that doesn't happen when you're an adult. Rule number 2, no swearing. Now, I'm a little confused here. I've watched Mr. Trump's speeches, and in some of them he used the word and I can tell you right now, my mom's going to bleep that out. But I ask, if our president-elect uses these words in public, should they not be considered presidential speech? Next one, no lying. In preschool, elementary school, Sunday school, all the teachers will tell you, do not lie. Yet, all I keep hearing about these days is fake news. This is like supersized lying. And you know what? I don't like it. No, I don't. And you know who else doesn't like it? The Pope. Yeah, Pope Francis weighed in on this one. He said people who promote fake news could be coprophiliacs. That's a new word I'm going to be adding to my vocabulary list. Do you know what coprophiliacs are? They're people aroused by excrement. And he said people who consume fake news could be coprophagiacs, which are people who eat excrement. These people literally eat Wow. I don't understand. Why so much fake news? It's not like there isn't enough real news to report. I mean, how come it took so long for anyone to do any in-depth reporting on Standing Rock? It amazes me that something like this is going on in this day and age. Have we learned nothing about our shame regarding how we treated Native people in the past? In 5th grade, we learned about the Trail of Tears and how inhumane our actions were then. Don't we study history so we don't repeat it? The Sioux Nation's land is sacred. Running a pipeline under it is not only dangerous, it's outrageous. Honestly, it's the equivalent of running a pipeline under the Vatican, We should thank people like Shailene Woodley and Susan Sarandon and other celebrities who brought this matter to our attention when media outlets insisted on ignoring it. I know, people are sick of hearing about celebrities, their causes, and who they voted for, but at least they stand up for things and at least they vote. 200 or so million people who didn't vote, people died for you to have that right. The least you could do is exercise it. But you know who's worse than people who didn't vote? People who actively tried to stop people from voting. To everyone who changed the rules or boundaries to make it harder for certain people to participate, you're pathetic. Because here's another playground rule. Everyone who wants to play gets to play. No one is left out. I don't know why people get all judgy when it comes to celebrities sharing their political views and whom they voted for. I heard some mean things about stars like Susan Sarandon this year. Miss Sarandon is a really nice person. I worked with her son Jack. We own a fish together. By the way, Jack, my mom says it's your turn to take care of it. She's tired of cleaning the tank. Oh, and say hi to your dad for me. Next rule, no cheating. That's a given, but there is an exception. If someone prepares study cheat sheets and offers them to you before a test, you go ahead and take those sheets and study up. And if that person is willing to meet with you on, let's say, a weekly basis to go over those sheets with you, you definitely take them up on that offer. You know, Mr. Trump, my mom says that since she's helping you to pay for those extra tutors, she really wants you to get up to speed on everything, and she really wants you to accept the help. And to study really hard, because the test you're about to take is going to be the toughest of your life. And you owe it to yourself and to everyone else to do your best. I know it's a drag, but I'm going to tell you what my mom always tells me. Get off the internet and do your homework. Okay, next rule. No name calling. If you're an adult and you don't understand this rule, I can't help you. Really, I can't. Okay, last rule. Keep your hands to yourself. Do not touch people where they do not want to be touched. No, not ever. Alright, so I'm growing up in California with all the hippies and progressives, so I understand that my playground rules may be a little different from those growing up in more conservative parts of the country. So I'll put away my peacemaking guide and I'll turn to something a little more traditional. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Luke 6:31. Jesus said, "Do unto others as you would have others do unto you." That's great. I think we can all agree that they don't call that the golden rule for nothing. So what else is great that we can all agree on? Come on, there's got to be a lot of things. Pandas. Who doesn't love pandas? The Super Soaker. Lonnie Johnson did us a solid when he invented that. Michael Phelps can swim really fast. Ellen makes us laugh. Let's stop for a minute and think of how amazing she is. I can say Ellen and you all know exactly which Ellen I'm talking about. That just goes to show how powerful kindness and humor and an interest in other people can actually be. Steven Spielberg has made some good movies. Who doesn't love E.T.? Lin-Manuel Miranda knows how to teach history. History has its eyes on you. Sometimes you just have to ask yourself, how is history going to see you? SNL's Pete Davidson is cute. I'm sure we can all agree on that. Okay, I know some of you are thinking, what kind of parent lets a 12-year-old watch Saturday Night Live? And honestly, until recently, we didn't watch it, but my mom thinks we should keep up on everything Mr. Trump thinks is important, so ever since he started tweeting about it, we've been watching it. SNL is now kind of like current events in my household, and for that, Mr. Trump, I thank you. Okay, so my phone is ringing, but it's Trisha, so I'm going to decline that call. You see, she's only calling me because she wants me to take her side on this one particular issue, and she thinks I'm a weak link because I'm new to the squad, but now this is definitely a middle school thing. I'm not going to take that call because I don't want to whistle an alliance that my squad's been developing for months. No, I'm not going to do it. Alliances, I tell you, don't mess with them. Otherwise, things could get dangerous. Stephen Hawking is a genius. Yeah, he is. And that leads me to the next one, what you can all agree on. The Big Bang Theory is the best comedy on TV. Jim Parsons is brilliant. But you know who's even more brilliant than Jim playing a scientist? A real scientist. And that brings me to the next thing we can all agree on. Science rocks. Who doesn't love science? I mean, really, if you like clean water, food, shelter, transportation of any kind, computers, video games, household appliances, bank machines, cures for diseases, you've got to love science. It's important to our survival, and we should support our scientists. Earth. I think we can all agree that, for our purposes, it's the best planet in the galaxy, and we should take care of it. Harry Potter books are good. You know what else is a good read? Our Constitution. What a document. I think we can all agree that it's pretty darn amazing. You've got to love those clauses, the Bill of Rights, and the other 17 amendments like the 13th, the 15th, and the 19th. So important, right? You all know what they are, right? If you're an adult in this country and what I just said confused you, you should do yourself a favor and pick up a book on American civics and government. It's important for all people to understand what's going on. I know we can all agree that those who died defending our country, like Captain Humayun Khan, are heroes, as are all men and women in the military service, and we should do a better job of taking care of them. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. White athlete, black scientist, historian of Puerto Rican descent, who's also a musical genius, disabled genius, funny lesbian, gay comedian. Cute comedian I hope isn't gay. For personal reasons. Jewish, Muslim, war hero. Just as I suspected. Not a single KKK member on the list. You know why? Because the only thing the KKK has brought us is bigotry, hatred, and inexcusably bad fashion. There is another thing I hope we can all agree on, and it relates to the playground. I hope we can all agree that when a boy is shot by adults whose job is to protect and to serve him, something's wrong. Tamir Rice should never have died that day. He was 12, my age, and it's wrong that he doesn't get to grow up. People are always asking kids what they want to be when they grow up. I don't know what I want to be, but I do know what I don't want to be. I do not want to be the first female president of the United States. No, I do not. And I'll tell you why. Because I think it'll take about 50 years for me to have the education and the life experience necessary to be a good president. That means if I'm the first female president, it'll be half a century before this country has a woman leader. I hope it doesn't take that long. My mom was really sad on election night. She was hoping she was going to witness the election of the first female president with her daughter by her side. We would be there together, experiencing a significant moment in history. But that didn't happen. But we now know something else historical happened. For the first time, a foreign nation, through computer hacking, tampered with our election. That's kind of a big deal. John McCain said it could be the end of the world as we know it. But it looks like we're not going to get to the bottom of this, because outside of Mr. McCain and Lindsey Graham, very few Republicans want to look at this, and that makes me really mad, and it brings me to truly my last point about the playground. Every once in a while, something will go down that's bad. I don't know, like some big kid starts to push around one of the little kids, and none of the adults are around to see things, and things start to get tense. Just when it looks like someone is about to get hurt, out of nowhere, some kid decides she's going to stop what's going on and stand up to the bully. It's an amazing moment to watch when someone decides she doesn't care what's going on or if she's going to get hurt or what side she's on. She's just going to do the right thing no matter what. It's very brave, and when it's all over, that kid is the playground hero. We need some playground heroes right about now. People willing to stand up for what's right no matter what side they're on. And I'm really glad Mr. Trump decided to attend a briefing on this situation, because his first response of suggesting that we get over it and move on with our lives was a little confusing to me. He said, and I'll read it to you, "I think we ought to get on with our lives. I think computers have complicated our lives very greatly. The whole age of computer has made it where no one knows exactly what is going on. And we have speed and a lot of things, and I'm not the security that you need. I have not spoken with the senators, and I certainly will be over a period of time." You see, it's confusing. Listen, since I'm inheriting this cyberspace-driven world, I expect everyone currently running it to take it seriously, and things are getting serious. According to an intelligence report, the FBI and CIA have high intelligence that Putin ordered a fake news campaign to make Mrs. Clinton look bad and ordered computer hacking to undermine public faith of the U.S. democratic process. If this were the playground, Russia would be removed from the game, and Mr. Trump, it would be your job to do it. President Obama recently explained that he felt he couldn't do anything before the election because he didn't want to look like he was influencing it. People, if we have reached a point where our president can't stand up to say it looks like a foreign government is tampering with our democracy, I think we've reached a bad place. Both sides need to work together to figure out what happened here. It's the only grown-up response to the situation, and to argue that we shouldn't bother investigating it is so illogical that I can't even figure out how to fit it into anything I've learned so far. This is not playground behavior. This is before you're old enough to go to the playground behavior. It's like a screaming 2-year-old sitting in a dirty diaper while he covers his ears because for whatever crazy logic is going on in his head, he doesn't want to cooperate with anyone. He'd rather sit in his poop-filled diaper than get anything cleaned up. Now, the Russian hacks may not have been the end of the world as we know it, But the failure of our leaders to agree that we need to work together may well be the end of our country as we know it. Let me remind you of one last thing we learned in middle school. All great empires come to an end. Yeah, they do. And the reason they do is because of arrogant leaders and divided populations. From what I can see, we're pretty much there. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all the stuff we learn in school is just filler. Maybe it doesn't really mean anything. But you know what? I think it does. I think it's important. I think being kind and honest is important. I think facts matter. I think understanding our history and what our forefathers did and why they did it matters. I think our Constitution and the rights protected under it matter. I think finding a common ground is important. I think our leaders should be held to a high standard of intelligence and integrity, or at least to the same standards as children on a playground. And to everyone in public service, if you think your party's platform is more important than the checks and balances of our Constitution, or even worse, more important than the rights protected under this Constitution, or if you're in political office and you don't even understand what I'm talking about, which many of you act like you don't, you shouldn't be in office, because I do not want to inherit the kind of country you're creating. As I said in the beginning, things are looking pretty broken to me. I think we need to start looking for a completely new way to run our country. I don't know exactly what new looks like, but we should start with what our truly great fathers did and build from their example. We should take the best from Washington, who fought in the Revolution and went on to create this country, and from Lincoln, who fought in the Civil War and went on to unify this country, and from Eisenhower, who fought in World War II and knew that in order for our country to be a great nation, we needed to be unified. He said extremes to the right and to the left of any political dispute are always wrong. And from Dr. Martin Luther King, who fought for civil rights and whose dream of America being a nation where we are judged not by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character is the exact kind of country I want to live in. Dr. King also said, I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. Maybe we should just start with that. And then we should add something from Michelle Obama, who encouraged us to lead by example of hope. Never fear. And finally, we can add something from Disney. Hey, I'm a kid, so Disney's important to me. In Cinderella, before her mother dies, she tells Ella that no matter what, she must have courage and be kind. Have courage and be kind. That pretty much sums it up. We need to fearlessly move forward with love and hope, and our leaders need to have the courage to do the right thing, and we all need to be kind. And that's my word.